And we're off.
We are live. We are out of the gates and we are running. It feels like ages since I've done one of these.
Well, it's been a couple of weeks, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been interesting. Lots of stuff going on in the world of hypnosis, and yeah, there's lots of speculation at the moment with America's immigration. I know some of the groups here in the UK are a bit worried about how that's going to pan out when it comes to international travel, especially when it comes to speaking at conferences. But we'll get it sorted. I was speaking to somebody earlier about different things to see if we can make it work.
Well, I know the two most stock things now coming across the Canadian-U.S. border are eggs and people. Look at that. We got Tommy. Tommy, how is it going?
Awesome. What a great hypnosis hero the other week, by the way, with Tommy.
Yep.
That was fantastic.
Yep,
So,
Tommy.
how did it go? Was it last night?
Last night, Tuesday night, we would have had Sean Michael Andrews on. Technical difficulties, so you and I have to have a chat about Facebook and how it does things, because YouTube seems to be rock solid. Facebook seems to be kind of all over the place. But yeah, no, Sean Michael Andrews, really good interview, really solid technical tips.
Brilliant.
And I think, very much like Tom Silver is a teacher that actually teaches in multiple countries and multiple, uses interpreters, multiple languages. And, it's, and I can tell you, like, teaching is one thing, but when you have to teach and somebody else is interpreting, or there's a language barrier, it becomes a whole lot more difficult to get your point across.
Yes. So. Yeah. I have a couple of friends that are Eastern European, and the nuances, especially in the English language, is crazy. TQ's in the house. Terry, how are you? I see you there on YouTube. Hopefully you and the animals, the pets, are doing well. And great to have you on here as well. So yeah, it's good. Always good to have you, TQ. So yeah, we've got a special guest this week, haven't we, Sean?
We do. We thought, it's not just good enough to have Sean and Grant back together again, but we decided we needed to have a special guest, and this guy really is kind of special.
Yes. So let's without any further ado, let's bring him on.
Yeah. I can see him laughing off screen right now. So there he is.
Yeah, let me mute my microphone. I am special.
Yeah, talk about language barriers.
Oh no, it's an American in the house.
He's an American over here. Jeez. So sorry about that, Sean. Yeah. Last time I went up to the Canadian Hypnosis Conference, I just, I want to apologize right off the bat. I am an American. I'm sorry. So I made that apology from the start.
So it says everything okay here. Hope all is well with everyone. Yes, not too bad, Terry. To be fair, it's the sun is starting to shine here in the UK. Spring is in the air, so that's always kind of starts a bit of optimism. But yeah, it's I must admit,
you don't want a picture from out my window then that kind of looks like Snowmageddon is hit once more.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that is crazy. Like I said, it feels like winter is well behind us here. So yeah, what's it like where you are, Dan?
There is not an ounce of snow outside the studio window right now. I can, so it's sun shining. It's kind of warm, 53 degrees here where I am. So loving it.
Awesome. Brilliant. So yeah, so for those that don't know, Dan, you are doing everything. You have a magazine, you have a conference, you have a live stream. Yeah, you do it all, and you save lives as well.
So, well, it depends on how much money they have. I'm having a heart attack. How much money do you have? $10. You're not going to make it.
That's the American way.
It is. So, but yeah, I do have the magazine, which I'm having a lot of fun with. So a lot of hard work, but a lot of fun at the same time. So, and there it is. So yeah.
Now, what kind of inspired you to create a magazine? What
We had
madness
started,
was that?
yeah. Well, as I know, Grant and I have talked about this. As speaking English good, I do. I started the Hypno Cafe podcast a few years back, and I really thought, you know what, I'm just going to do 1 or 2 videos a month and just dabble with it a little bit, and that didn't work out. It just kind of became more of a thing, and the magazine was born from the podcast. But also, moreover, I'm an associate member of the American Psychological Association and the American Psychological Association Division 30 Hypnotherapy that they have separate. I'm also a member of that. Because I'm a member of that, I get a magazine called The Monitor. And it talks about various things in behavior and training. And I thought to myself, man, we should have something like this for hypnosis or hypnotherapy, kind of along those lines of Psychology Today, The Monitor. And I thought, well, surely someone has done that. There's got to be one. And there wasn't. So just from that, you know me, I don't wait. I jumped in feet first, not knowing what I was doing. And that's how the magazine got born. Just right there, that idea that day in the office, looking at the monitor, reading an article on what I don't remember.
I think for me, it's really interesting to see how the magazine itself has evolved from being the HypnoCaf magazine into Hypno World magazine. And again, the evolution of those front covers, it looks good. And then this one now, each one just looks more and more prestigious, and it looks really great. And what I personally like about it is you've got articles from like a broad spectrum of people as well. And so it's great to see people that I've met at conferences, contributing and putting stuff in there.
So yeah, that was important in the magazine to me, anyways. Was not just having a magazine for hypnosis, but being able to give people a voice. Not that it's difficult to find a voice in this day and age, but to really, what's the word I'm looking for here, guys? Bring hypnosis and hypnotherapy, up to just really, give them that opportunity. Because some people's like, I would love to write a book. Well, I don't know if I can do that. Well, start by writing an article. Yeah. See how that goes. Write a blog. See how that goes. So, yeah.
So. But it's nice. And in a digital world, it's nice to have something that's physical and in your hands as well. It's got a real tangible value. And so when you do write an article for this magazine, it's something you can keep on your side and your clients can see that you've done that. I've framed my stuff, and again, it just means that people can see that you've done it, rather than being, here's a screenshot of something that I did, or here's a screenshot of a blog that I wrote. It's physical, so that's really good.
Yeah, that was one of the first questions I asked. I think I did a poll on the Hypno Cafe podcast page before I changed it to Hypno World magazine page. Yeah. Would you rather see, because there was one company I could have worked with that did digital magazines, flip books, if you will. And I asked that question, would you rather have that, or would you rather have a print version that you can hold in your hand? And overwhelmingly back on that poll, I got print version. Everybody seemed to be really screen weary. So we went with the print version.
Yeah. So I was having a look online. So if people want to kind of get behind this, they can subscribe to it. Now, is that $25 per magazine, or is that for like the whole season?
That is the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So another thing that we did with that was, I think it started out $15, and over the years, just with production costs, I've had to bring it up to $25. So that is for the full quarter magazine. You have a spring issue, a summer issue, a fall issue, and a winter issue. So you get all 4. And this year we streamlined it. We were able to do that through our website. We had to jump through a couple of hoops, but you can now sign up for continuous. You can do the subscription for 2 years.
Nice.
It's $25 one year, $25 the next year. You don't really have to remember to renew it. It will just auto renew for you. So we gave them that choice. You can do the 1 time for the quarter or the 2 times for the 2 quarters.
That's amazing. That is amazing. So as well as obviously the magazine, you have a conference.
So yes. And that's the Michigan International Hypnosis Conference now, because it was just at first. I remember I tried to be really interesting. I tried to come up with a name that I thought people could remember, and it really turned out to be the worst name ever. If Grant knows what it was, that's why he's laughing. It was My Hypno Conference. Yeah. I thought, okay, my Michigan Hypno Conference. People can remember that. No, everybody kept going. So it's your conference? I mean, is there anyone else that comes to this, or did you just go there by yourself? It was the worst name in the world. So we changed it to Michigan Hypnosis Conference, and we just kept getting a lot of international support from it. People coming from England and Canada and the Netherlands and Denmark and so on and so forth. So we really kind of renamed it what it was, which was that international. And that's pretty cool.
There's a great article in the magazine as well about that kind of the next generation of hypnosis conferences. And I definitely think the Michigan conference is definitely, one of those, the next generation conferences. It's a really cool vibe there as well.
So, yeah, I wrote that. Obviously funny. You say that. I was funny. I was thinking of, I just got back from the performing hypnosis, and that was very foremost in my mind when I started to write that article, the collaboration that was going on and the teamwork. And, it wasn't so much the conference, or the presenter having to, do things for the conference. It was the conference doing things for the presenter. So, yeah, that was really foremost in my mind when I wrote that. Putting together the magazine, if for just a minute, is a labor. It's a labor of love. I do like it, but it's interestingly hard work. So, because somebody asked me this, and I thought, well, I'm going to talk about that on Hypno News tonight, if that's okay with Grant and Sean. So, yeah.
I like the turn of phrase that you used there. It was interesting hard work.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the first thing we do is we get articles in from collaborators, and then I decide because I'm the hypnotherapist. Okay, yes on this article, no on that article. There's a few incendiary articles that we had to pass on just because they were, kind of, I felt they were attack articles. I'm like, I can't put that in the magazine. So from there, once I say, yes, this article is going in, I send that over to my software, do a plagiarism check, do an AI check. That comes back okay. Then we decide what, that's going to go in the magazine. And then from there, we do the layout, which starts with the cover and what's on inside and the graphics. And from there, I download a PDF version of it, send it to Heather. Heather then reviews it, sends me back all the grammatical and spelling mistakes that I need to fix. So I fix that. I send it back to Heather. She reviews it again. If we say yes, I then send that PDF print to Dazzle Printing. Now, that's a whole other thing because they have software that you've got to fit the layout in. So about 3 or 4 trips back and forth, emails with Dazzle Printing. I'm kind of reaffirming the layout a little bit, even though I'm getting better at that per se. So everything fits in what I call the blue line of death. It's this little blue line. All the text has to go in there. All the pictures have to go kind of where they need to go. So
I so remember that from Aldous PageMaker, which precedes anything Adobe.
Is that like the grown-up equivalent of colouring in between the lines?
I think so.
Yeah.
So, and me without my safety scissors.
Yes.
So now once all that's done and I approve the final version, then it gets approved, then it goes to production, then from production comes to me, and then it goes out. So and I know that sounds really simple when I say it, but it is weeks, almost a month, 2 months just putting it together.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Definitely a labor of love.
So yes, and I actually there's a really good. Well, it's a kind of a small article in there, but I thought it was done really well. Even if I do say so myself, there was an article on there on this really cool conference that I just went to, which was the
Which one?
I think it was in January. It's in Vegas. I'm trying to remember. That's it. Performing Hypnosis Summit. So, yeah.
Oh, whilst you've mentioned it, I will just say that the website is live. The videos from January are available to download and purchase from the site now. All is good to go, and we're kind of getting ready for next year. Speaking of conferences, though, you're traveling over this way for a conference, I believe.
I am heading over to the Irish Hypnosis Conference. John Scanlon was so nice as to invite me over there, or to allow me the opportunity to come over and present. I have the mother of all layovers on the way back, but that was just how the flight's laid out this time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I will forbear this to go there, because my theory is, especially on the new generation of conferences, you just can't have the international guys coming to America. We've got to reciprocate and go to those international conferences and make those connections and be there. So, and I know that Sean was probably happy. Another thing that I just found out about, I've been talking to, is Barb is breathing life back into the Canadian Hypnosis Conference.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a few of the polls that she has out right now, asking people how they want to structure different things. And Toronto as a city, there's lots to do. After hours and so on and so forth. But it is still probably the most central place that people can fly into in Canada. So, yeah.
And the magazine will be there to cover it. So
there you go.
Yeah. It's one of the things, because that was one of the other things. If I'm going out into the world, let's cover something. Let's cover this conference. Let's cover that conference. Let's talk about it. Let's let people know that these conferences are going on. Do some, that article, and put it out there. I don't want to say it's branded content, but the articles for the conference are generally in a very positive way, unless maybe it was just an atrocious conference and there was no way to spin it in a positive way. I haven't run into that yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. But that's a good thing. And I had to actually go ahead and join another organization, which was the National Photographers Press Association, to get my National Press Association credentials for the magazine. And I had to make credentials for the magazine so that when I'm traveling with the podcast, I can then be at the airport and show them their credentials and get what's called the media bag rate, because I'm usually traveling with some equipment, which is kind of nice. Yeah. So, yeah.
Cool.
So,
speaking of other conferences, straight after the Irish conference is Heartlands, which is William Mitchell's conference, and this is a great one. So I'm planning on being there. It's one of my favourite ones after Michigan, obviously.
and after performing Hypnosis Summit, obviously.
Yes, exactly. But you can't have favourites. What's nice is you know, a lot of these conferences all have things that are kind of unique to them and the things that you kind of love about them as well. So it's great. And Heartland is a fantastic one, and that's in St. Louis, which is a beautiful part of the world as well. It's not true what they say on Google, but yeah, it's always great people, always a great atmosphere. So yeah, it is a good one.
Yeah, the magazine will be there. As a matter of fact, I am driving it. It's 9 hours for me to drive from here to the conference in St. Louis.
Wow.
So, yeah, my cameraman, Gerald Williams, and I will be driving out and probably picking up Amanda Dodd along the way, because I know that we are doing a collaborative presentation out there together, Amanda and I. So, and it's nice to have my cameraman back. He's been in a paramedic course for about the last year, so he hasn't really been able to travel and do the cameraman thing. So, but he's excited to be out there, get his camera all dusted off, and, you know, get some better photos than what I do with my phone. So,
cool.
But yeah.
And then I believe after that it's the Pacific Northwest Conference, which Anthony Gitch is running. And again, that's in is it in Seattle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So that's not one I've been to, and I don't think I'll be able to get to it this time again. It's right in my peak season, and then after that we're on to Hypno Thoughts, which is, you know, it is a beast of a conference. It is one of the biggest and busiest. And so again, it depends what you're looking for, but they do have some great speakers, and it is a fantastic conference at the Sahara in that there Vegas in July. So don't forget your sunscreen for that one. We spoke a little bit about Hypnosis Heroes a few minutes ago, but how are things going with that, Sean?
Good. We are rebranding the Facebook page, and we'll be registering a URL and getting that all set up. I think technically Jim's estate still owns the URL, although none of his URLs are actually active at the moment. So we'll see what we can do there, but we may just grab Hypnosis Hero and as a podcast and get it registered. Ideally, what we want to be able to do, Brian and I, is have a web presence, a Facebook presence, a YouTube presence, and then get on to Spotify and get in as an actual podcast. You know, I know that's where Jim was going with it before everything happened. But ideally, that's the goal, is to actually get it as a podcast. And we've got 2.5 to 3 years of actual material that's sitting on YouTube right now that could be downloaded, modified, and put up as you know, podcast episodes. So, you know, we've got a little bit of a leg up when it comes to jumping into the podcasting arena, because we've got material that we can definitely start with.
Yeah.
And once we get the rest of our technical difficulties solved, life will be good. You know, it will take care of itself. We've got a little bit of a gap that we're working on because we had somebody reschedule on April 1st. So once we get that squared away, we should be good, and we'll be into May before we are looking for more people to be guests. So I will get you the URL, Grant, so that we can promote that here, where people can actually book, so that they can attend and be the hero of the week.
Awesome. I mean, how long has it been going now? Hypnosis Hero. It's been a while.
Brian and Jim started it basically as just a conversation between the two of them, and then it kind of evolved from there. I think I picked up probably about 1.5 years in, and you know, we went through a year and a bit with the three of us, and so we've got, like I said, a good 3 years of material there. There might be a little bit more. And some of those, of course, will have to be broken up into multi-part episodes, because it seems to me I remember One of my very first times, Wendy Friesen was the hypnosis hero, and we went for like 3.5 hours or something like that.
Wow.
There were just all kinds of questions and all kinds of interest, and we didn't have to worry about TikTok's algorithm kicking us off. And so you can imagine where Brian went with some of those questions, and I'm trying to reel him back in. But we've had a few interviews like that where we've gone definitely over the hour and a half that would be considered normal, and so it makes sense to kind of split it into two. The other thing that Jim was working on, or at least had plans to do, was to actually split off the actual hypnosis portion, and so that can become its own podcast or its own content that I think was originally going to drive part of the app that he was trying to develop, but we can still use that and repurpose that. So yeah, there's lots that we can do. Technically, as it stands right now, our next guest is, give me just 2 seconds here. I can tell you who the next guest is. We have we have David and Gina. It doesn't have their last name in here. Give me another 2 seconds. But it is April 22nd is technically our next episode. Like I said, we're working to fill that gap on the 1st to the 15th, the 1st, 8th, or 15th, and Brian is actively in pursuit of a couple of people that we know wanted to rebook, but just haven't had that opportunity yet. So, but yeah, it one way or another, there'll be another episode between now and then.
Brilliant. So a couple of little extra things, some bits of news. The Bunny Talk process. This is Claudia Rickard's protocol. She is coming to Leeds, Yorkshire, just down the road from me. So she's over for the Irish Hypnotherapy Conference. And so while she's over here, she's visiting Yorkshire, which is where she's originally from. And so she's doing her training course over here as well. So if there's anyone on the UK side of things that would like to book on for that, then do check that out. And Aisha has a shiny new website. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but do check it out. There's a new website. And yeah, it's kind of all streamlined and everything is good. And we've got Cindy in the house as well. Cindy, hopefully you are well.
Yeah, and I will say, Claudia was one of the very first guests that we had when I was first on the Hypnosis Hero podcast, and I'll tell you, absolutely mesmerizing the way that she's gone about doing things and presenting it, and as a teacher, I work with students, right, but. That Bunny Talk, that could go in so many different directions and do so much good for so many people. Whether it's K-12 education or your own kids. So definitely something that you want to check out because it is worth its weight in gold.
Yes, absolutely. And again, one thing that's nice, and that's the great thing about going to these conferences and attending them, is you get to see something from the beginning, almost its conception, and then see it grow into something fantastic. And the community of hypnosis has been very supportive of that as well. So that is a great thing. So yeah, it's been good to see that. And Claudia is probably when you meet someone, you have a good laugh with them. I think last year at Heartlands, maybe the year before at Heartlands, actually, I thought me and Claudia were going to get into trouble. We were laughing that hard at Dave and Buster's. And she has a very
you two strike me. So there's this theory that goes around in education that when a teacher attends a conference, they revert to the level of the students that they teach, which for me was middle years. You two strike me as being right in that same vein, like
absolutely
just being a little, that's all I'm gonna say.
Very much so. I think that is it. I've got no more news. Do you have anything, Sean?
You know what? I just checked my schedule and my calendar, and I didn't have the email for it. But actually, we do have a guest on the 15th, and that will be Tracy Kanan.
Oh, brilliant! Brilliant.
So, yeah, and that if there's one interview that I may not want to show on TikTok, and I may have to work overtime to keep Brian, on the straight and narrow during the interview, that would be the one.
Yes. Tracy's fantastic, and again, presented at PHS for a couple of years, and her talk, this previously one over Zoom, on kind of like facial expressions and the comedy of that, is so important, and especially for hypnotists, not just the entertainment side of things, but how your facial expressions itself can be a suggestion. So and definitely a character. So she's a fun one.
Yep, 100%.
Cool. That's it for me. Any final words, Dan?
If anybody wants to send an article for consideration to publication in the magazine, just send it to info@hypnoworldmagazine.com. That is the email address for that. And to let them know that they can now see digital issues on the website. The past issues, they can just flip through those past issues. And if you haven't done it already, get your ticket for PHS. I have no shame.
Awesome. I do love a plug like that. There we go. And so TQ, thank you very much. You have a great one too. It's a real pleasure to have you here, TQ. And guys, thank you for joining us this week for Hypno News. We should be back on track now. All illnesses, craziness, all put to bed. All should be good. Take care.
Good night, everybody.